Let's talk about the newest palette from Bunny Cosmetics, the Machina Palette. This is a very, very special palette to Maggie, the owner of Bunny Cosmetics, because she did work on this when her father was alive. It was his idea, and they merged their visions together into this one palette. And so here it is. It has such beautiful packaging. Parts are embossed, and it is such a beautiful illustration. And you have a couple of different finishes on here. Basically, it's merging AI and cyborgs, machine robots, and Earth, and humans, etc. So here's the inside color story. I definitely was expecting some of these shades in here. There's going to be some really bright pops of neons essentially, and we definitely have that in the shade Burnt and Enamored. But then to contrast that are also some really grungy tones, which I think are a bit unexpected, and I think they might look a little bit jarring, especially because they're kind of next to each other. But I think this is a really interesting color story, and it's leaning into cyberpunk kind of territory in terms of colors. There are 5 shimmers, and there's plenty of deepening up shades. If you've been on my channel, you know I love Bunny Cosmetics. I use their eyeshadow palettes all the time, and I'm always so excited to see what they come out with. And thank you so much to Bunny Cosmetics for sending this palette over to me. I also do have an affiliated code, which I will put up on the screen in case you're interested. This palette is launching this Friday, December 1st, and I will put the time in the description box. So I'm going to show you some swatch comparisons between the different Bunny Cosmetics palettes to help you decide if this is something you want to add to your collection. And then I'll be creating 4 looks, and then at the end of the video I'll give you some of my thoughts. So let's get right into it. Going in with Attract right into the inner third of my crease slash lid. Just gonna popping that down first, and then wiping off my brush and going in with Flawed right next to that. And just kind of merging them together. Come back in with a little bit more Attract. And then a little bit more Flawed. And then taking AI, it's going to go right here on the outer third of my lid. And it's just going to get blended out, really, really blown out here in the outer corner. Taking Motherboard to deepen it up out here. Just kind of tapping it on first, and then I'm going to start blowing it out and into the other shade that I have down. Just like little by little, just going back in and really just trying to smudge it in here. And then I'm going to wipe off my brush, and I'm going to take Emote onto the center portion. I'm going to blend it up into the crease just a little bit. And a little bit along my lash line. And then again, wiping off this brush, and I'm going to take Oxytocin and pop that right into the inner lid. Have a little bit of fallout. This one was very pigmented and picked up pretty heavily. And just going back in with a little bit more, and then I'm gonna pick up Attract and use that to kind of feather the edge here. For the shimmer, I'm a little bit torn. I kind of really want to go with, I think I want to do Conscious and Mortality. So I'm taking Conscious just on my pinky And I'm just gonna tap that onto the lid, most of the lid, and then a morality on the inner portion. All over the lid and up into my crease just a little bit. Just taking a little bit more, going back in with a little bit more conscious. And then taking Switch as the inner corner highlight with my pinky. And here is the first finished look. So I think the reason people are saying that the color story is so polarizing is really because of the center two columns being next to each other, especially just the really grungy, earthy greens next to the more vibrant but also kind of dusty peach. It's just a lot of contrast, so I'm actually going to use both of the columns for this second look. So going in with Error Code, and I'm essentially going to be doing this kind of technique that I do pretty often, is where I put something in my crease and then I do an eyeshadow wing, and this allows me to do pretty contrasting looks with shades that would otherwise not really go well together in terms of blending. So this way it's like keeping them far away from each other, but they still look cohesive at the end. So I'm just taking that right up in the crease and then a little bit onto the outer portion out here, just really blowing out whatever is left on my brush. Next, I'm taking a digital, and I'm going to be creating an eyeshadow wing. And I'm just kind of laying this down first. And then I'm going to deepen it up with Machine. And I'm going to bring it underneath my lower lash line just to connect. And then I'm going to take Diode on the edges of that and further kind of blend that out. Just really trying to use as many shades to really get a feel for everything. So far, everything feels just on par with everything I've ever tried from Blend Money. Just taking a little bit more. This is essentially kind of making it glow. It's actually really cool. And then taking digital, going back in with digital. And I'm just really trying to feather the edges of this wing. So here's the eyeshadow wing. I think I'm going to go in with a little bit of more of Machine. And then I do want to just a little bit more depth, so I'm going to take a Shutdown. But I'm going to be very careful and just keep it against my lash line, more or less, just so that it doesn't overtake the whole look. Just keeping it right there, going back in with digital, just up here. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Conduct. Now this looks like a relatively sheer shade, so that's going to go right up here, kind of avoiding the green wing. Look at this, this is so pretty. That is such a pretty shimmer. And then I'm taking Sci-Fi, and that's gonna go as like a bridge between the pink and the wing. This one is a very, very sheer, more like an iridescent. And then going back in just a little bit more with this brush, just to kind of brush off any extra sparkles, because I didn't want to take it completely and cover the liner. But here's a really fun combo of the two columns. What do you think? Here's the second finished look. For the next two looks, I actually want to incorporate some maybe kind of like cyborgy looking things. So I was gonna use maybe some foils, and I'm thinking using it on both of them. Of course, you don't have to apply anything like that. You could just leave it before I apply them. But these are from Reza Beauty. I'm not sure if they are still in business or not, but I have like a bunch of different ones. I believe I got them like, it was like a bundle at a discount. And then I also have some, I think these are face lace. So these are also really fun. I feel like this one maybe looks more like a cyborg type versus some of the other ones, but I do really like these because this is something you could just like put like, ooh, like that. So I'm picking up a Burn, and this seems like it's quite powdery. This is essentially a neon. I mean, look at that. So pretty. And I'm going to take just a little bit of Error Code right into the edge of that. And then just blending whatever is out here. And I'm going to be taking the same brush and circuit on this outer corner. And a little bit underneath. I really just want to put some of these shimmers all over the lid as well and just really see what they look like. So I'm just feathering this out and then taking a Motherboard right out here and underneath a little bit and just really deepening it up in here. And then I'm going to go back to the larger blending brush. I'm going to take a little bit of Shutdown just to deepen this up even more. Just on the outer edge. And then I'm going to take AI right here underneath the lower lash line. And the shimmer I want to use is Cyborg. It feels a little bit squishy in the pan. Super, super metallic. And it's just gonna go all over the lid essentially. Just flooding my whole lid with it, going back in with a little bit more. Really layering this on out here as well. I just want the sparkle everywhere. Look at that. That is so, so beautiful. All right, so for the fun part, I don't really want anything that will like cover it up though, is the thing. So I'm thinking of this one and kind of placing it right here to accentuate this swoop underneath. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna make sure this is a little lower so it's not like poking me. Ooh, and then maybe another one, kind of just like a little accent, like one of these. It's gonna go like right here. That is not easy to apply, a little baby one, and it is crooked, so I'm just gonna fix it off camera. So here's the finished look. Taking Enamored onto the lid, similarly to the other eye. And just blending it outwards. I'm going to take just the tiniest bit of Attract on the edges. Just blending it outwards and then wiping off my brush, going into Glitch. And it's going to go and get blended outwards here. A little bit underneath my lower lash line. Taking a little bit more. Taking a little bit of setting powder. Taking Emote on the outer corner. Deepening it up out here. And then bringing it underneath my lower lash line as well. And then I'm going to take another blending brush. And I'm just going to blend that out. And I'm taking Flawed in the center underneath the rest of my lower lash line. And then taking Mortality on my pinky and just putting it on the lid. I feel like that's just kind of lightly sparkly, so I'm gonna actually put down some Fair & Pixie Epoxy. So I'm putting down some Fair & Pixie Epoxy. Picked up Mortality. Oh yeah, that's definitely more opaque. And I'm taking the same little doodad thing and I'm gonna just reflect what I did over here on this eye. But I think for the larger piece, I'm gonna use something else. So I'm gonna stick this one right here. Here's the fourth finished look. So between the 4 looks, I did use most of the shades in the palette, and I gotta say the mattes for sure are typical Blend Bunny Cosmetics, beautiful, blendable, pigmented, layerable formula. I really feel like this formula just works either way if you want to build or if you want to go from dark to light. You can definitely expect to see this palette featured in some future videos because the Blend Bunny matte formula is just a trustworthy formula where I know I'm going to have an amazing outcome. So moving on to the shimmers, there are 5 shimmers, and I would say they're more or less the same formula with the exception of Conduct. I feel like that one is a little bit more closer in formulation to the All Done Up palette and Sickly Sweet, and I think there's another palette where it's really sparkly and glistening. It's a little bit more piecey, while some of these other shades have a little bit more of their previous shimmer formula, so they are really, really smooth and really high shine, but not necessarily sparkly, if that makes sense. And some of them are a little bit squishy in the pan, so I am a bit concerned about wear time on some of the shimmers because I do have hooded oily lids, and I have had issues with the shimmer formula from Blend Bunny, not with the formula of Conduct. However, that one is absolutely chef's kiss. Such a beautiful formula. Cyborg, Mortality, and Conduct are duochromes, so they are pretty dimensional. They have a shift to them, and Conduct, Switch, as well as Cyborg are more top-alike, which just means that you can layer them over the different colorful mattes in here and get a different kind of look with the shimmer. In terms of color story, it is definitely something I expected to see. Also feel like Glitch and Emote are pretty similar. I would have loved to seen Emote be even deeper, a little bit more on the level of like a Motherboard, for example, but I do feel like they're kind of similar, though it did deepen up here when I used it with Glitch, but I think it could have been pushed a little further away from Glitch. If you have lots of Blend Bunny palettes, specifically the ones that are more rainbow-like colorful, do you need this palette? Probably not. If you don't have any of their palettes, or maybe like one other colorful one, then I do think this one would be a fun addition because it does have some interesting tones, specifically the olives. I love the tone of Burn. It is such a beautiful, it's not like truly neon. It's just like almost a little bit grungy, so it's kind of like grungy cyberpunk in a palette, and I think it's a pretty unique color story. So let me know in the comments below if you plan on picking it up and which look is your favorite. I would love to hear your thoughts, and that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.